It's my honor today to introduce our speaker, since Peggy did take off and is enjoying a holiday. Jack Elsnes, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was born and raised in Brooklyn Park, graduating high school in 2010 from Champlin Park High School. His lifelong passion has been to improve the community around him. He went to St. John's University for his undergraduate and has been working in nonprofit development for 4 years. By joining, do you say CEAP?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you said the letters of CEAP. He knew that he would be able to continue making an impact, increase access to nutritious foods, and create a stronger community. We're so pleased to have you here, and he's a member of the Brooklyn Park Rotary. So we welcome you as a fellow Rotarian.
Awesome, thank you. I'm used to a microphone, I gotta say, so let's that.
And Jack, do use it so we can hear you on the recording.
Okay, perfect, will do. Let's see. So CEAP, Community Emergency Assistance Programs, it's a mouthful to say the least. We are located in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, right off of 94 Brooklyn Boulevard exits. If you've seen the Luther dealerships there, we're about a block off from that. Obviously, yes, community engagement manager. My role at CEAP is to work with organizations like, obviously, the Rotaries, our civic groups, our congregations, and then also our donors is part of my position as well. So it's pretty busy. And then what is CEAP? I always get that question because when it comes to talking about, our social services, it becomes a lot of dialogue, to say the least. But simply put, we are a food shelf, just like PRISM, of course, our sister organization. We have multiple senior programs, seasonal programs, and rental assistance. So our food shelf basically is one of the largest non-borderless food shelves in the state of Minnesota. Last year alone, I think 32,000 visits during the 2021 calendar year. And then when it comes to our senior programs, that obviously includes our Meals on Wheels, but we also have different programming within CEAP that is dedicated to the senior population. We have seasonal programs from coat distribution, toys, Farm Fresh Fest, which is a produce giveaway, and then we also have rental assistance that is basically contracted through Hennepin County, where we distribute funds through rent, help, and the reason why I'm here today is specifically related to Meals on Wheels. I don't know if you guys know the story, is that about a year and a half, 2 years ago, Dinner at Your Door, which is would have been about 50 years old at the same time as we are, came to CEAP and said, hey, we need your help. And so we said we'd be able to take over the program essentially, but keep it, community-based. We've been running a Meals on Wheels program at CEAP for about 25 years now. We were simply located in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center areas. And then with the addition to Dinner at Your Door, we are now serving 9 communities, including the one, obviously that we're in currently. And if you don't know, obviously Meals on Wheels is, we provide nutritious lunchtime meals for seniors and for individuals who are not able to prepare meals or leave their homes. Obviously, our participants have various different reasons why they need Meals on Wheels. Some pay out of pocket because they aren't able to leave the groceries for themselves, or like it says here, folks who aren't going through some troubles in their life, surgery or health complications. So this is our impact. This is what I like to talk about the most. We do serve 9 cities: Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Crystal, Golden Valley, Minneapolis, so very north Minneapolis, New Hope, Osseo, Plymouth, and Robbinsdale. So with the addition, when we made the idea that we're going to combine the forces of Meals on Wheels between Dinner at Your Door and CEAP Meals on Wheels, we went from about 200, 250 participants to all the way forward to 450 participants that we visit weekly, essentially. That means 27 routes. And so when our volunteers come and join us to volunteer, we used to have it at the Crystal Community Center, if you know that. And we just very recently in November to move to Brooklyn Center to make it all one cohesive unit, where at first when we made the transition, there was some type of pushback from volunteers, which is totally reasonable. And moving to Brooklyn Center allowed us to make it a more efficient, cheaper product that we're providing to our participants. Along with that, since we've been able to move the two programs together, we're actually, since March of last year, able to increase participants up by 50%, specifically in this community, or historically known as obviously dinner at the door. And so we've been able to really dramatically increase how many participants we're seeing, which is great. And then also we have over 150 hours for volunteers each month, which that's really why I'm here today, is that we always need drivers all the time. Even folks who are able to be a sub. And if your Monday is the day that you possibly could do it, but not every Monday or even once a month, that is okay. Jason, our volunteer manager, when we do need folks, he'll give you a call, he'll send you an email, letting you know what the schedule looks like that day. And then you can just click on a link and say, hey, I can do that Monday. It's really quite easy, and we're going to be transitioning that process here soon, the new volunteer program that will give you detailed instructions, videos, and everything you do to sign up to be a driver will be streamlined significantly. And then finally, of course, 69,000 meals that we served last year. That was the first full year that we've had both or all 9 cities together. And it's been a pretty fun time. I've done it a lot myself. And I'll go over the volunteer positions right here. So we have 2 volunteer positions when it comes to Meals on Wheels. One being the kitchen assistant, which essentially you help pack the meals, you label, you highlight, primarily a sit-down position, I would describe it, but it's so essential to our staff, just because we have right now, we have 2 Meals on Wheels staff that are dedicated towards the program, so packing the meals, making sure everything's all put together properly, and this kitchen assistant allows us to make sure we're getting those meals to our volunteers at a dedicated time. It's typically from 8:30 to 11:30, and again, this can be also pretty flexible as well once you get in the habit of actually doing it. And then the most important thing I would say is take a route, where routes can be bi-weekly, monthly, during your lunch break, or again, as you're able to. I know we have a lot of volunteers who go down south for the winter, and so when they're back, they let us know, oh, we put it on the calendar. Or if you're traveling or work may get in the way, depending on what your schedule changes. So again, we're trying to be as flexible, and it's only about a 90-minute commitment in your day. And so we have our meals basically ready around 10:30 every day. You take your meal, you drive to your 8 to maybe 12 routes at the max. And depending on the day, it might be less or might be more, but it's really, we try to make it as easy as possible. Each packet will have very detailed instructions on how to travel as well. So I'll have the participant's name, what meal they're getting, what juice, what maybe an added item, and then the detailed instructions on how to get to your next stop. And so for many of our volunteers, they've been doing this for a very long time, and they get actually very much used to that company. If they do it once a week, once a month, they can say hi to the folks who they're delivering the meals to. And there's actually a really cute story I always have to say is that Mike, he's a volunteer. He has the same route every week, and he meets with the participant. He even has taken her to vote. He gets her mail weekly. And so it's like a really fun way of, investing in the community, but also helping out folks who really probably need the company. So, and then how to get involved is obviously you can contact me or Jason, our volunteer manager. Our number is up there. And also brought these lovely handouts, and these are QR codes that anyone can take from. And they also left this lovely packet of all of our general Meals on Wheels information as well. So it's we try to make it as easy as possible as it is. So, and then finally, your financial investments, in case you are able to. This is these numbers specifically related to organizations. But $500 provides 70 seniors with a high nutritious meal. 1,000 supports one route for all the routes for one day, and $5,000 support Meals on Wheels operations. That's for one day, but 1,000 for one day. Anyways, if you are able to give, we can't run these programs without folks like yourself. I always get the question about how people pay for this, and there's various answers to that. Some folks pay for Meals on Wheels out of pocket, and some have waivers. And so for us, we have to provide staff, obviously pay. So we have 2.5 staff, I think, dedicated towards Meals on Wheels, and so that adds up. So we wouldn't be able to do it without donations from the regular public. So otherwise, that is the general information. I talked relatively quick. Do you have any questions?
Jack, I know that you are from the community that you are now serving.
Mm-hmm.
What has been surprising to you in this role that something you didn't know growing up that sort of been, wow, eye-opening?
That's a great question. I would say growing up in the northern Brooklyn Park, going to Champlin Park High School, it's always been an eye-opening experience to learn that the kids I went to high school with probably use CEAP. And I had no idea as a kid, obviously. I just looked at folks like they were just like me, dealing with the same situation. So I guess the eye-opening experience is that these are my neighbors. These are the people who live 5 minutes away from me who need this assistance, which is, I'm so glad that CEAP can be there for our community. It has been for 50 years now. And I look back at that mostly just my younger ages, when I was a little more naive, I would say.
Are most of the clients for Meals on Wheels seniors, and are there some who are like rehabilitating from surgery and more transient? What's the kind of mix?
Oh, that's a great question. So historically, of course, Meals on Wheels has been for seniors. This is actually the March is the anniversary. I think it's the 40th. 1965 is when Meals on Wheels was created. And so it's historically always been a seniors program. During COVID, they actually loosened up those regulations for basically the month or the year of 2021. And so during that year, anyone can apply for Meals on Wheels if they have the right waivers. And again, you can pay for Meals on Wheels as well if you need it. And so for the pandemic, they loosened up the regulations. But historically, yes, it's 65 and up primarily.
Where do the funds come from?
Folks like yourself. And so one of those things that we have as CEAP decided this year for the first time is to provide Meals on Wheels as its own line item on our budget. And so we are fundraising in a more aggressive way, I would describe it, when it comes to making sure we can afford the program. And so they come from individuals, they come from companies, they come from grants primarily. There's probably the 3 where we get our most money from.
Have you been able to rope in your fellow Rotarians into service projects?
Yeah, so Brooklyn Center has a consistent route, I believe, weekly, where they, as a group, they take a route basically, and they actually take 2 routes. Historically, the route actually was supposed to be just one, like 16 stops, I think, and then they have decided to divide it up because they want more participation within the group. Brooklyn Park, they've financially given. They're not so much the ones striving quite yet. I'm trying to get them to do that, but yeah. Oh.
I drove from North Memorial, pitching around
Robbinsdale area for a few years, delivering those meals. Does North Memorial provide them free?
So that was dinner at your door. So that's the same program that I'm talking about now. That's where dinner at your door started, was at North Memorial. And if they probably were free then, that's my guess at least. So yeah, dinner at your door eventually moved to the Crystal Community Center, probably had multiple stops in its way. But yeah, and dinner at your door, it's the same age as CEAP, so that makes complete sense.
So my question is, how much engagement is there with the drivers? Is it just, can you knock on the door and you hand them the food, or do you leave it outside? Do you go inside? What's allowed or expected?
Great question. So that's varies on your comfortability, I would say, but also varies on the individual you're serving. And there's within those instructions, a lot of the time they'll tell you how to drop it off. And so like for me, I'm not as comfortable in that setting, I guess you could say. And so whatever the instruction says, I follow it by key, but for me personally, it's kind of different to like actually physically walk into someone's house and deliver the meals. But if that's what the instructions say, that's what the instructions say. So, and so we do make that very cautious choice, and that's why the instructions are so detailed, because it does vary depending on the client to client.
Well, thank you very much. A little bit about these cards that we are selling, and they're from a contest within Golden Valley that there were many winners, and then we went through all the winners and picked out beautiful pictures of Golden Valley and put them into little note cards, and we're selling those as a fundraiser and giving them as special awards to our speakers.
Oh, cool.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
You were wondering if you're gonna have to pay for it,
I
right?
don't know.
Yeah.
You can pop up the money.
Just in case you wanted a whole bunch more Golden Valley that you could, send for birthday cards. But is there anything else to come before us? If not, we'll stand and say the 4-way test of things that we think, say, and do. First,
Is
Is
it
it
true?
true?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you all for attending. Make it a great week.
Nice to meet you. Thanks so much for coming out.
Absolutely.
Say hi to Jason and Claire.
Oh, I
You might
will.
see them before I do next.
Claire's actually out of the office this week.